1 second, please. Gotta fix that. And there we go. All right, we are good to go. Good evening, everybody. Let me fix this stupid camera again. Frank also says hi. You can see him over there in the corner. He's chilling. All right, so not much to talk about. We've got a sample size of one game, so I've got the stats from the last game for the time being just to kind of talk about this one. A lot of the stuff I'm going to say I already said on the damage report that I did for game 1, which I had that stream yesterday. I'm not expecting as easy of a game this time as Carolina had last time. That was the most Carolina Hurricanes Rod Brindamore surgically executed game that you can have. You could not have asked for a much better execution, and you got the result that you deserve because of it. This is where Philadelphia, even though Tippett's still going to be out, is going to have a chance to make adjustments. So, biggest thing here, I'm going to pull it up. This was the heat map at 5-on-5 last game. You notice you got a lot more of what you needed out of Carolina than what Philadelphia was able to generate as far as their chances 5-on-5. I'm expecting this to be closer tonight, significantly closer. Excuse me, I'm still expecting Carolina to win this game, but I think Philadelphia is going to adjust their play style. I think Vladar has now seen enough of the Carolina Hurricanes to where he, on an individual basis, will adjust his game. And ultimately, maybe they'll do something different with the lines. I personally haven't seen anything. I'm going to double check game day tweets to see if anything new is out. But as it stands right now, it looks like neither team is making any lineup changes for the moment. This is good news for Carolina if Philadelphia does not try anything different because they know how to approach it. That being said, Philadelphia is still probably going to try and do some stuff different. They will probably get more aggressive about flying the zone when they get the puck back in their own end to try and generate some chances. Let's see what we got here on game day tweets. Okay, Owen Tippett is confirmed out. Looks to be an option for game 3. So the last lines that they had in game 1 were Zegras, Dvorak, Konechny, Forrester, Cates, Martone, Bump, Barkey, and Mishkov. The fourth line stayed exactly the same, and that was their best line. So one of the things that I talked about previously. 2 things I want to see from the Hurricanes tonight. 3. I'll say 3. 1, do not play this game any differently than you played game 1. There's absolutely no reason to change anything. Philadelphia is going to make their changes. If you can survive the pushback that they're going to give you tonight, you're in good shape. Because then they've got one more big hand to play in game 3. Because like I've said before, game 3 is basically game 1 part 2. Since you're going on the road for the first time. The Stankoven line, in 8 minutes and 6 seconds of time on ice, had an 80.13 expected goals for percentage and scored 2 of the 3 goals the other night. Technically, you could say they scored all 3 since Stankoven scored a change when Aho made an excellent change to get him on the ice and Jarvis and Svechnikov assisted on his goal. On his other goal, I should say, because dude's on an absolute tear right now. He needs to keep that up. I would not be surprised if the Flyers put Forrester, Cates, and Martone together for an extended period of time. And leave it that way. They were the only line that had really good chance generation. In 3 minutes and 19 seconds, they had a 77.83 expected goals for percentage. I'm expecting to see that line again. Whether we'll see it from the outset of the game or not, I don't know. I'm going to wait and see what the live updates are from Walt Ruff and anybody watching the lines there. I am very, very much hoping that Carolina does not change anything that they do in this game. Let Philadelphia make their changes. You have a winning formula. It just has to hold. And then you can worry about whatever you have to worry about come the time for game 3. Need to win this one, though. Go ahead and set the tone for the rest of the series if you win this one tonight. Ideally, you would want to get at least the split in Philadelphia. That's going to be difficult, but I think the Canes can do it. I'm not expecting them to win game 3 if they do win tonight. But we will see. Additionally, Stankoven had another 2 goals the other night. Blake had 1 goal, 1 assist. Riley had 2 assists. and Taylor Hall also had an assist. Jarvis and Svechnikov also had assists. So pretty good point distribution there. The guys that you need to start chipping in, starting to chip in there a little bit more. And additionally, the guy that you need to stay hot, particularly Logan Stankoven, is doing so. Taylor Hall is doing a really good job driving play on that line with Stankoven and Blake, and he really brings that experience element there. And he's got a lot of grittiness to his game, as we're seeing now, no pun intended. Philadelphia is probably going to try to be more intimidating after the whistle tonight than they were at points during game one. Don't get into any of it. Skate away from it. Take the power play, despite how bad the power play's been. That leads me to the second thing I want to see out of Carolina tonight. Please get a power play goal. I don't care how you get it. It can be a butte. It can be a snipe. It can be a greasy one off of a rebound. It can go in off of Nick Seeler's skate. I don't care. Just get it done. Get the jitters out of the power play. That would be the next thing. And the third thing, top line. This is a good series for them to get going. Typically, they're going to be matched up probably. You see, the thing is, Philadelphia doesn't have a really great shutdown line. The closest thing they have to one is their fourth line, which is the only one that they've consistently left together thus far in the series. Aho, Jarvis, and Svechnikov can score against that line. They'll make them pay for it. They'll punish them every time they're in the offensive zone. That can happen. So, I'm fully expecting a closer game tonight. We will see how it goes. But there's not much different that Carolina needs to do. But if they can win this one tonight, they're going to be in good shape. We've only got one comment here. I know I was kind of late to this. I got home from work a little bit later than I expected. Raleigh 98, let's go Canes. This is a must win. I agree. Echo Request says, no Owen Tippett again for tonight for Philadelphia. The bracket has really broken our way so far with all these Philadelphia and Ottawa injuries. Yes, and they've got to take advantage of it. You take what you can get, and you utilize it to the best of your abilities. And them not having Owen Tippett takes a lot of punch out of their forward group. Tippett, for what faults he does have as a player, he can be someone who changes the tide. He can change the tide of a game. The only thing that I've ever seen in Tippett's game that I just don't understand, when he's got a lot of speed, when he's worked up a lot of momentum, he has a hard time putting on the brakes. And sometimes he overskates loose pucks and, maybe gets a little bit too much underneath a little bit too much steam underneath his feet and doesn't know how to hit the brakes. He's all gas, no brakes a lot of times. And sometimes in hockey, considering it's a relatively small playing surface, that can be a bad thing. But it looks like he will be available for Game 3. Again, it looks like for the Hurricanes, there will be no Alexander Nikishin. That's fine. You've got a leg up in the series. You don't really need his physicality as much against Philadelphia as you would need it against Ottawa. As it stands right now, the Hurricanes lines, they look exactly the same. No reason to change anything. Everything went well. Nikishin took warm-ups, not line rushes. So we'll see. He probably won't draw back in, though, if he didn't take the line rushes. That's fine. Give him another game. He'll be more valuable on the road anyway when you don't have last change. If he needs another break, that's totally fine. Zoe G says, Sens fan here. Oh, I remember you, yeah. I watched your stream where you were covering the game versus the Sens. I love your takes, and I'm cheering for Carolina to win the Cup. Zoe, thank you very much, and you have a very damn good team there in Ottawa. It's got the framework to be a very good competitive team for a long time. Very young. You've got a good amount of experienced guys to insulate the younger guys. Very notably Claude Giroux. That's a great guy for the likes of Tim Stützle and Brady Tkachuk and everybody else to learn. I mean, at this point, Brady Tkachuk's a veteran. He's been in the league for a while. But you definitely have the framework of a really good team. You have an excellent forward group. The center depth is really good. Your defense is outstanding when it's fully healthy. Sanderson and Zub is a great top pair. Those guys are yin and yang. You have a play driver who has a ton of qualities of an offensive defenseman, but is still a very balanced two-way guy. You could argue he's the best two-way balanced defenseman in the league who can generate that offense, but also is elite defensively. Shabbat, great power play guy, and again, another veteran presence. And you guys are going to be fine. You probably do need to make one big trade just to kind of shake stuff up and maybe balance that lineup out a little bit more. Maybe you could go for an upgrade in goal, maybe, but that's a big maybe because Linus Ullmark played excellent during that entire series. And had y'all been fully healthy, Clevin and Zub been playing the whole time, I legitimately believe it would have gone to 6 games. I still think Carolina would have won, but it would have been much more difficult to win. There's a lot of passion in that team. There's a lot of fire. There's a lot of edge. They're very fast, and they're only going to develop more chemistry. Their young guys are going to continue to take steps, and in 2 to 3 seasons, Ottawa is going to be habitually winning multiple rounds. If it takes that long, you've got a really good team there. That's why when I was seeing people talk about how easy of a matchup the Hurricanes were for the Sens, whether it was before or after the series was over. I'm like, no, that's a good team right there, and they're only going to get better, and they're very early on in their competitive window. That's a good hockey team, and it will get better. Dylan, what's up, buddy? Nikishin taking warm-ups. Yeah, he's taking warm-ups, but he's not in the line rushes. So we'll see if he plays. I doubt it if he's not taking the line rushes. If he needs another game, let him have it. Mike Riley's playing fine. You don't want to go to the well with Mike Riley too many times. But I also imagine if they thought Nikishin was going to be playing, they probably would have already sent Legault back to Chicago. If they have done that, I haven't seen it. But no reason to change anything. Everything's going fine. No watch along tonight, Dylan. I probably won't do those during the playoffs. During the playoffs, I like to just kind of sit down and enjoy the game for those. When we get to near the end of, say, another series like Montreal and Buffalo, I'll do watch alongs for those games just, to kind of forecast the opponent and everything like that. But yeah, big things I'm looking for tonight. Power play needs to get on the board. First line needs to get on the board. I don't care how either one of them do it. The first line is playing fine defensively, though. Seth Jarvis, even though his shoulder is clearly screwed, he's making a lot of good defensive plays. He's made some very critical shot blocks, particularly in the series against Ottawa. Aho is doing great defensively. I'm very impressed with Aho's defensive game. Yeah, they've been under siege in their own end a few times, but that line has only allowed one goal throughout the entirety of the playoffs at 5-on-5. So I'm not really worried about that. It will come. If they were making a lot of mistakes defensively, then I would be worried. Do they have a few here and there? Yeah, but it's the playoffs. They're going to be tough games. As long as that line is playing well defensively, it's only a matter of time before the offensive switch flips. So I'm not worried about that. But yeah, that's about all I got. Matthew and I did discuss one thing, and you guys can let me know what you think in the comments. With Jarvis appearing to have the issue with his shoulder, I thought about maybe Carolina could consider bumping him off the top line. Or not off the top line, off the top power play. Leave the lines alone. Do not touch the lines. God, please do not touch the lines. I would say that maybe you consider swapping him and Blake or something along those lines on the power play units, maybe to shake the power play up and maybe so that he's eating a few less minutes with his injuries looking like they're bothering him. That might not be the worst idea. If the power play comes out sluggish again, I think that's something, a change they could consider making to, maybe get stuff going in the right direction because, yeah, maybe you can win a series against the Flyers without scoring a single power play goal. You got lucky enough to do it against Ottawa. That will not be sustainable in the next round, whether it is Montreal or Buffalo, should Carolina advance now. Zoe also says, yeah, you guys are such a great team, and all I see on Twitter is nothing but good about Carolina, such an insanely talented hockey team. Thank you, man. We appreciate it. But yeah, you guys have a really good team there, and it will not be the last time Carolina and Ottawa see each other in the playoffs. And I'm fully expecting if Carolina goes past the series, they're going to end up with the one matchup I did not want. And those of you who have followed me for a while know which team I'm the most afraid of in the East. The other team I was the most afraid of was actually Ottawa. But that got taken care of early, thankfully. Tampa I was not too terrified of outside of the goaltending, obviously, Vasilevsky and Kucherov. That's the only things that really scared me about Tampa and the experience factor. Buffalo, not so much. I think Carolina would have to drag that to 7 to win, but I think that they would win that one. Montreal is the one team in the East that I'm very, very concerned with. But we will cross that bridge if and when we get there. So, but that's about all that I really have for this one. There's not much to talk about with it so far. Relatively low event stuff. I mean, in the first game, and by extension thus far in the series, you only have 50 to 47 on shot attempts. Carolina got significantly more of theirs on goal, had a higher percentage of blocks. Penalty minutes were identical, but a lot of that was primarily because of all the misconducts that were handed out in the third period when they were trying to get control of the hockey game that they lost control of initially. Good job, TJ Luxmore. I mean, people giving him any sort of praise for getting control of that game. He's the one who lost control of it to begin with, but stop me if you've heard that before. TJ Luxmore loses control of a game in Raleigh. He is incredibly bad at his job. Expected goals, relatively even at all situations, 5-on-5, not so much. But like I said, I'm expecting all these numbers to be closer. Aho and Jarvis, scoring shorthanded, I wouldn't be surprised if that's a factor tonight, if it's a deciding factor tonight. So we will see how all that goes. But relatively close series when you're looking at advanced and standard metrics. Carolina's just happened to... It's pretty low event when there's only been 3 goals scored. They've all been by one team, and they were all at 5-on-5. And generally, it's the same guys putting the puck in the net right now, Stankoven and Blake. So I will say, though, Stankoven's Blake does not happen without Aho making, having that offensive zone pressure that he had, great forecheck, and he made a very timely change. So Zoe also says, oh, Montreal, I watched some Montreal games. Carolina has way more depth, and you guys are a way better team. Well, see, the thing about it is, part of the reason I think that maybe I'm biased towards Montreal is, I won't even call it bias, but I've been able to, the 2 times that Montreal was in Raleigh this year are 2 of the 4 or 5 games that I've managed to make it to this year. So I guess I got to really take all that in as far as seeing Montreal in person and how they do things, and their style is a perfect countermeasure to the way the Hurricanes play. And since I got to see that 200 feet at a time, and I wasn't reliant on wherever the camera was at the moment, and I didn't have to worry about listening to commentary. It was just all whatever information I was taking in at that particular point. And then, not to mention how Montreal won Game 7 last night, 3 goals on 9 shots. That's, if you're going to beat the Hurricanes, that's one way to do it, is score 3 times on 9 shots, while Carolina puts up 70 shot attempts, puts 40 on the net, and only scores once. When Montreal won the game on January 1st, Sebastian Aho had 5 points. He factored in on all 5 of Carolina's goals. He scored 2 of them, had 3 assists, and they still lost. And then the last time that they played there, it was just Montreal just absolutely dog-walked them. And they were both on a back-to-back, but Montreal also traveled, so you can kind of, measure how a team would deal with the attrition factor there. But like I said, we'll cross that bridge if we get there. That's the one team I'm worried about, to be perfectly honest. And it's not just based on how the games in the regular season went, it's how Montreal does business is why I would be worried about that team. But that's the matchup I'm expecting. I think Montreal will beat Buffalo in 7 games. That's what I think is going to happen there. If Dobish takes another step, it will be over quicker than that. So Scott says, what's up, Brandon? Good to see you, pal. We got to win tonight. Put the pressure on them. Yes, I agree. Need to win this one. Need to win this one very badly. Basically, it's a much more important game than what it looks like on paper. Because Philadelphia is a good enough team to where you don't want to give them any hope. So, if Ottawa had managed to take Game 2 or Game 3, you could almost expect it with how good they are. With Philadelphia, don't give them a spark. And Ottawa's a lot better at the intimidating stuff after the whistle than Philadelphia is. Yeah, stand up to it. Stand up for your teammates. Don't let anybody injure anybody. But at the end of the day, skate away from it. Chance you can get to work on the power play right now, please take it, because it's back to mid-season, last season form. But we will see how all that goes. I will not be doing damage report tonight. I will probably do it sometime tomorrow night in regard to this game. Game 3, Derek Dunn will more than likely be joining me for Landfall Hour for that one. And that is about it. Thank you very much for joining me. If I'm hype enough, for whatever reason, I might do damage report right after the game. We will see. So, everyone, thank you very much. I will talk to you later. But first, J-Dub. LFG Canes, LFG Canes. I agree. But I will see you guys later. I'll be on X during the game doing tweets and all that stuff. Business as usual. Let's see if the Canes can get business taken care of tonight. And I have really, really good meme loaded up in the event that they do. I will see you all later. And yes, it is Star Wars related.